Hello everybody, I'm SnipingIsFun, and in today's video, I'm going to be bringing all of you another Super Smash Bros. 4 Top 10 list. This time, I'm going to be talking specifically about stages. This time specifically, I'm going to be looking at the 3DS version, and I'm going to be talking about the top 10 stages I would like to see in the 3DS version of Super Smash Bros. 4. The top 10 exclusive stages, I should say specifically, that I want to see in the 3DS version of Super Smash Bros. 4. So stay tuned for number 10. Number 10 on this list is going to be going to the Saloon, which represents the recent 3DS series by Nintendo, Dillon's Rolling Western. I do think Dillon's Rolling Western has kind of made an impact as of late, recent, memory, because of the 3DS. The two games that he has, as downloadable titles on the eShop on the 3DS have actually gained some popularity. The character actually is quite talked about by people, especially for those who want to see him as a character in Smash Brothers. So regardless if he's a character or not, I think, just to add a stage to the game, I think the Saloon would be a good choice. It's like the old Western Saloon. Like it'd be kind of like the Luigi's Mansion stage in Brawl. You fight in front. Well, technically in the Luigi's Mansion stage you fight inside the mansion, but this stage would be like you fight in front of the saloon. An old West setting. It mainly is there to represent Dillon's Rolling Western, and we'll have a lot of references to that by stage appearances and like hazards and whatnot. But the stage kind of represents the other old West cowboy themed stuff that Nintendo has too, like Gunman Clive and the Sheriff. And you could do like hazards, like people popping out of windows, dropping stuff on your head, or maybe shooting like little pop guns at you, doing little stage hazards that kind of reference maybe events that certain characters do in the game. And I just feel like this stage right here would actually be kind of an interesting stage to take, and it'd be kind of a fun approach. Like we haven't really seen anything old Western, anything cowboy related in Super Smash Bros. And Nintendo has that side to them. So this actually, in my opinion, sounds like it'd be a good stage idea, for the 3DS version. Number 9 is going to be going to Inside Bowser from Bowser's Inside Story on the Nintendo DS. You basically would be fighting inside Bowser, going through the various tunnels, tubes, seeing all the insides of the body, all the little hazards that basically happen in the game as you were traveling. It'd be like a moving stage where you'll be falling into different parts of Bowser's body, and different stage hazards will come out at you depending on where you're at. I think this would be interesting because this would reference the Mario RPG side of the series. And I picked Inside Bowser more so because I think that'd be an interesting approach, because we haven't really had a stage where we're inside like someone's body. The other idea I had here would probably have been, from the one on 3DS, Inside Luigi's Dream, which in my opinion would be the same type of thing, except you'd be seeing more dream-related stuff from that game with the stage hazards relating to those events in that game on the 3DS. But I specifically picked Inside Bowser because it would be at least a different approach, because it'd be a different visual approach because of seeing inside someone's body, being able to move through all the passages and whatnot, and just the type of hazards you could pretty much get with a stage that's like this. Number 8 is going to be going to the DK Construction Zone. No, not from the original Donkey Kong series back in the arcade days and NES and whatnot. The Construction Zone from the Mario vs. Donkey Kong series that was basically on the Game Boy Advance and on the DS. The recent return of like the classic Donkey Kong style. The one with the little mini Marios and stuff like that. Those kinds of games, like the ones that are more puzzle related. I just think that would be kind of interesting because it shows a new side of like a classic side of Donkey Kong, like the classic Donkey Kong, which we had that stage in the original Donkey Kong stage we had. Well, not the original. It was not the first level. It was from the original Donkey Kong, but it was like level 2 or 3, I think. We had that in Brawl. Now we can represent the recent Donkey Kong style stages, like the Mario vs. Donkey Kong games. and you can have the little hazards like the platforms, and you can still have the barrels, and you can have the fire and all that stuff, and it'd be like a stage that references something new, but at the same time references something old, so it's kind of like old meets new type of thing. And I think that would be an interesting take on it, and it kind of gives, Donkey Kong something of recency for him, other than, the country and country returns, the country return style and stuff. So I think it'd be a little bit more interesting take on that. Number 7 is going to be going to the Alien Invasion, which is the final level from the Elite Beat Agents, a game on the DS from back in 2006. The Japanese series is called Oyenden. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. I specifically picked one from Elite Beat Agents because I think this stage would actually be quite interesting. Like, you can fight down on the streets, and above you, like, the alien eye will be looking down on you, maybe sending stage hazards down, like little alien, like a laser beam, or like that. Basically, in the game, did turn the Elite Beat Agents into stone, so maybe if you get hit by the beam, you get turned to stone. And it can send down little soldiers as well. So you have stage hazards on top of the fact that you can jump on top of the buildings like practically any stage level that has buildings in it, like, especially like the Mother Earthbound stages, and you can fight down in the streets. I mean, I think it's, for a miscellaneous Nintendo franchise, I really would like to see something Elite Beat Agents related in here, a stage, a sister of your character, something. And I think this, out of all the stages basically in the game, it sticks more out to me, because you get the villain of the game in there, on top of like an interesting stage that the hazards would actually be kind of unique in a way. Number 6 is going to be going to Lorule Castle from A Link Between Worlds, A Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds on the 3DS. I wanted to think of a stage that represents this game. This is like kind of like a big return to the top-down Zelda games, even though technically the DS games were top-down games as well, in a sense. But this was more like, since it was a sequel to A Link to the Past on the Super Nintendo, I felt this game needed some sort of stage representation, and a big part of, A Link to the Past, and even, A Link Between Worlds, is that other world, the Dark World, and this game it's Lorule. It's like a darker version of Hyrule. And then, what place would you specifically pick from that game? I would just say, just pick Lorule Castle. It's like the main location that Zelda would be in. Then you turn it evil in the Dark World where Hilda is at and everything. And you just have it be like a stage. It could be moving, it could not be moving. You could basically have little hazards like the dark creatures from the Dark World, from Lorule, in there. And just have like castle structures that the character has to maneuver around if it's moving. And if not, you can have like one little platform in the middle, like that's some middle part of the castle, and have stuff like that, like the windows in the back and whatnot. I'm just saying, I do think Lorule in general somehow should be represented as a Zelda stage on a 3DS, because I think that's the biggest place to pick for a 3DS, A Link Between Worlds Zelda stage. We're at number 5 right now, and it's going to be going to Akaneia Field. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. Akaneia. It's the region where Marth is in Fire Emblem, so basically Marth's games, Fire Emblems 1 and 3, a field. I'm just thinking, like, the main aspect of Fire Emblem is two armies battling each other on a battlefield. How about we represent that like as a stage? Like, you're fighting in a grassy plain or some sort of war-torn battlefield that's all like the trees and all these mountains are torn up and maybe bodies laying everywhere, but Nintendo wouldn't do that really. But maybe weapons sticking in the ground, all this, like, it's like this war-torn battlefield. And in the background you see these armies waging war against each other. So the main aspect is it's maybe a basic stage, kind of, where you're in the front probably fighting on platforms and whatnot, and the most of the action's in the back, but you could probably even have it be where maybe the soldiers like eventually come to the front of the battle. So you see like all these like dragon riders and horses and these archers and everything maybe start coming at stage hazards and shooting at each other, and if you get in the way, maybe that could be stage hazards and cause damage to the player, something like that. Like, I think representing an actual stage, like something like a general battlefield for Fire Emblem would actually be kind of an interesting take on representing the series. Number 4 is going to be going to the Underworld from the Kid Icarus series, more so specifically Kid Icarus Uprising. And I'm just thinking, I was trying to think of stages that Kid Icarus could represent for, the game. We already know there's that one field where Viridi is, like the Mine Forest or whatever it is. That's already a stage, but there's nothing limiting that there should only be one stage per franchise or something. And Kid Icarus did make a return. It is Sakurai's franchise, so maybe he would throw something else in there. And I think the Underworld would be an interesting take, like this dark world that you have all the stage hazards, all these like skeleton creatures. You can get the eggplant wizard in there. You can do all these like enemy hazards that pop up and attack you. And just think of it, it's the Underworld. It's like this evil place that Hades would works at and whatnot. Hades lives and dwells in, and like all the creatures he has, like the Cerberus and everything. You could have these stage hazards and these monsters that attack you. And I think just Smash related, that would just make such a hectic battle. It would be so much fun. Number 3 is going to be going into the Pokemon realm with N's Castle from Pokemon Black and White 2. I want to represent in some way, shape, or form Generation 5 in this game, since it's probably not likely they're going to get a character. It's still possible, but it's not very likely. And I'm trying to think, like, Generation 5 place that would be really unique, really different. How about the enemy headquarters? How about N's Castle? You could have the platform in the middle, like these falling. Like I seen a picture on YouTube, basically what the stage could technically, not YouTube, I mean Google. The stage could look like it's this big main platform in the middle. You have like these pillars and like these pits on the bottom. You could basically and I think steps that lead up to it. You can even make it a moving stage where you move through the castle. I'm just thinking like it's the main headquarters of like one of the major villains of that generation, the Unova region's generation, and I'm just thinking it's a location that sticks out to me from that game. So you can represent a villain headquarters in the game, and it would have some unique stage hazards. You can pretty much have Team Plasma people coming out throwing Pokeballs, and you get attacked by Pokemon, stuff like that. I don't know. You can do a lot with this stage. Number 2 is going to be going to Venus Lighthouse from the Golden Sun series. Now, Golden Sun is another series I believe needs to be represented a little bit more in Smash Bros. Because it is, for a smaller miscellaneous franchise from Nintendo, it is fairly well liked and fairly well loved, and people want to see more representation from it. The location in the series in general, Dark Dawn or otherwise, that kind of sticks out to me would basically be the Venus Lighthouse, because that's like a main location in the entire series, and you could basically, it could be a moving stage where you maybe start off on the top of the lighthouse, and maybe you fight up there, and then maybe the ground crumbles and you fall down into the inner dwellings where all the traps and hazards and everything will start fighting, start coming to try to attack you or get in your way and cause damage to you. Stage hazards wise do that. And then maybe it falls like maybe one or two more times, and you fall outside to the front gates, the front doors. By that time, the battle would probably be done. But maybe if it continues, maybe you'd be teleported back to the top and rinse and repeat kind of thing. And like I said, that's like the main location from Golden Sun that really sticks out, and you could do quite a bit of it with the hazards that are inside the lighthouse and what they could technically do to hurt you, and how interesting that would make a strategic battle fighting in a place like that. So I do think that would be an interesting stage, and it's one of the stages I would like to see most in the 3DS version of Super Smash Bros. 4. Number 1 is going to be going to the Warzone from the Advance War series. The Advance War series has a lot of history with Nintendo, dating all the way back to the NES and Super Nintendo, like Famicom Wars and Super Famicom Wars in Japan. It was localized. Like on the Game Boy Advance, turned to Advance Wars. It now has Battalion Wars on the GameCube and on the Wii. Battalion Wars would be likely to continue. Advance Wars would be likely to continue. It's a well-loved franchise by everyone. It's the same people who made Fire Emblem. And I'm just thinking, like, it really deserves more representation. The stage makes sense. Warzone. And you're on this and it's like a stage, and how I thought the stage would actually work would be a stage that's kind of like the Mushroomy Kingdom was from Brawl. Like somehow when you sometimes play it, it's randomly like stage 1, but then sometimes it's stage 2. This stage is random too, and I think of it the way one variation on the stage represents Dual Strike, and one variation on the stage represents Days of Ruin. When you're fighting and it's randomly Dual Strike, you get like this, a general stage platform in the middle of platforms. You get like the foresty, plateau type stuff in the background, mountains, trees, like stuff, and you get the armies fighting each other, tanks, planes, soldiers, vehicles driving by and attacking you, and you can have like the soldiers on this, like come up to the stage and start blasting each other with rocket launchers and bazookas and machine guns and bombs. Like the plane could drop bombs down on you and stuff like that. And then when it comes to Days of Ruin, it's instead of like the mountain in the background, it's a destroyed city, because remember it's like Days of Ruin is kind of like a post-apocalyptic world. And you can basically have like buildings that are torn apart, windows broken, just shattered, like buildings and cars and all that destroyed. And the same thing, soldiers will come in, attack you, attack in the background and everything. I'm just thinking like that represents Advance Wars. Advance Wars is a strategy, RPG type thing, a strategy game. And like if you represent the armies and you represent the battlefield they're on, you represent the series, and you can get some more music in the series. Get Will's theme, get Andy's theme, get Sammy's theme. The music. I mean, the music in general should be in the game, but then just think about it all being relocated to like one stage, where not all the music would be on there. I'm sure they'd have music on the stage, and there'd be more music to the series in general, like outside of it that you could probably use on custom stages and whatnot. But just think of the music. That atmosphere where you get randomly one of these stages, and just the fact that you're in the middle of a battlefield and you could be bombed on and attacked at any moment. I love Advance Wars. I really want to see this game get more representation in the series, the characters, stages, music. Please Nintendo, please Sakurai, put some more stuff in this game, in Smash Bros. From the Advance Wars series. And I'm SnipingIsFun. Thanks for watching this top 10 list on the 3DS stages. I hope you guys liked it. And, of course, because I'm doing one specifically on 3DS stages, you could pretty much assume I'm going to be doing one on Wii U stages as well. Stay tuned for that, and stay tuned for more videos to come. Peace. Please subscribe if you want to, and have a nice day.